You walked out to your truck this morning, coffee in hand, and you saw it. That first crusty orange bloom creeping along the bottom of your bumper, or worse, that flaky brown scab spreading across your tow hitch like it owns the place, and your stomach dropped, because you already know how this story goes. You take it to a shop, the guy crouches down, sucks air through his teeth, and says the word every truck owner dreads: cancer. It's got cancer. And then comes the number, $800 to replace the part. Maybe more if it's a chrome trim piece or a fancy step bar. And the whole time he's talking, you can practically hear the rust eating away at your truck's value, because you know that every single time it rains, that little orange spot is getting bigger, biting deeper, turning your rust-free resale price into a rusty fire sale price. That sinking, helpless feeling of watching your vehicle rot from the outside in while everybody with a clipboard wants to charge you a fortune to make it stop? I'm here to tell you that for surface rust on your bumper, your hitch, your trim, and your accessible exterior steel, that $800 panic is a lie, and the fix is sitting in your kitchen cabinet for about $1. But first, let's talk about the scam they really don't want you to understand. Walk into any auto parts store and you'll see them lined up like little black soldiers. Rust converter, rust encapsulator. $25 a can, spray it on, and the orange magically turns black and disappears. Here's what they don't put on the label. A lot of those products are designed to seal the rust under a film, and if you spray them over loose, flaky, crumbling rust without doing the prep work first, you're just painting over a problem. The rust gets buried, it looks fixed for a few months, and then it keeps creeping underneath where your eyes can't follow it, rotting in the dark until it bubbles right back through your shiny new coating. You paid $25 to hide the evidence, not to win the fight. Now here's the dollar solution they'd rather you never figure out. Baking soda. Plain old sodium bicarbonate. The same box that's been sitting in your fridge soaking up smells. And before you roll your eyes, understand this. The professional shops that charge you hundreds of dollars to strip rust off a part use a process called soda blasting, and the media they load into those expensive machines is sodium bicarbonate, the exact same powder. They're shooting your grandma's baking soda at high pressure and charging you a premium for it, because baking soda is the perfect rust-fighting abrasive. It is hard enough to grind iron oxide off the surface, but soft enough that it will not gouge or scratch the healthy chrome and steel sitting underneath. That's not kitchen magic, that's material science, and it's the same reason it works in a $100,000 blasting rig and in your driveway with a $1 box. So let me be straight with you about the industry, because this is the part that makes me genuinely angry. The rust protection world runs on fear. They want you to believe that the moment you see orange, the war is already lost, that your part is doomed, that the only options are an expensive prevention kit that mysteriously fails right after the warranty ends, or a brand new vehicle. Fear sells. A scared customer buys the $800 part and the $25 can and the annual undercoating package, and a confident customer buys a dollar box of powder and handles it himself. If you're tired of being the scared customer, hit that subscribe button right now and join the rust resistance, because everything I share on this channel is built to keep your money in your pocket and your truck out of the shop. Now let's talk about what is actually happening on that metal, because once you understand it, you'll never be intimidated by surface rust again, and you'll also know exactly when to stop and get help. Rust is iron oxide. It forms when bare iron meets oxygen and water, and it's weaker, flakier, and bulkier than the solid metal it grew out of. That's the key. The rust layer is structurally loose compared to the steel beneath it. Baking soda works because its crystals are a mild abrasive, hard enough to knock that loose, crumbly oxide off the surface while being too soft to damage the dense, healthy chrome or steel underneath. It's a selective scrub. You're physically removing the corrosion and leaving the good metal alone. This is why it's perfect for the orange film and light scale you find on bumpers, hitches, trim, brackets, and exposed hardware. But I'm going to be honest with you, in a way the fearmongers never are, and in a way the dollar fix hype guys never are either. Baking soda is for surface rust on parts you can see and reach. It is not a fix for structural corrosion. If you crawl under your truck and you find rust that has flaked completely through a frame rail, eaten into a suspension mount, weakened a brake line, or turned solid steel into crumbling brown lace, that is not a kitchen powder job, and it is not fear-mongering when a real mechanic flags it. That kind of rot fails on the highway, and no amount of scrubbing brings back metal that's already gone. Know the difference. Surface rust on your bumper, you fix in your driveway. Structural rust on your frame, you get a real inspection. Respecting that line is what separates a smart owner from a reckless one. Now, about those $30 rust dissolver gels. The aggressive ones are often built around acids like phosphoric acid, and here's the nuance the marketing skips. Phosphoric acid actually does a real job. It converts iron oxide into a more stable iron phosphate layer, which is legitimate chemistry. But the strong acid dissolvers are also harsh. They need careful timing, careful neutralizing, and careful rinsing. And if you leave them on too long or use them carelessly, they can attack and pit the surrounding surface, and they're nasty on your skin and your eyes. So you're paying $30 for a chemical that demands respect and precision, when for light surface rust, $1 of abrasive powder does the mechanical job with none of the acid burns and none of the guesswork. The expensive gel has its place on tough jobs, but for the everyday orange on your exterior accessories, you're overpaying for aggression you don't need. Here's the protocol, and follow the warning at the end like your wallet depends on it, because it does. Start by cleaning the area so you're working on dry, loose rust and not mud. Pour your baking soda into a small dish and add just a tiny bit of water, a few drops at a time, stirring until you get a thick paste about the consistency of toothpaste. You want it thick, not runny, so it clings to the metal and holds the grit against the rust. For light orange film, water is all you need. For heavier crust, you can switch to a slightly more aggressive abrasive scrub, but do not dump vinegar into your baking soda paste expecting it to get stronger, because the two react against each other, fizz themselves out, and leave you with weak salty water that has lost the punch of both. Keep them separate. Slather the thick paste right onto the rust, let it sit for a couple of minutes so it stays put, and then take a crumpled ball of aluminum foil and scrub. The foil is the trick. It's firm enough to drive the abrasive into the rust, but soft enough that it won't scratch chrome or healthy steel, and as you scrub, the foil and the paste work together to lift the orange away and bring the shine back underneath. Scrub, wipe, check your progress, and reapply fresh paste as needed until the metal underneath is clean and bright. And now, the critical warning, the single most important thing in this entire video, the step that 90% of people skip and then wonder why it got worse. The moment you scrub that rust away, you have exposed fresh, bare metal, naked steel. And bare metal is hyperreactive. It is desperate to grab oxygen and moisture out of the air, which means if you walk away and leave it raw, especially in a humid garage, you can get flash rust setting back in fast, sometimes within the hour, covering your freshly cleaned part in a fuzzy orange film that is thinner, wider, and more annoying to remove than the original spot you started with. So the second that metal is clean and dry, you protect it. Wipe it bone dry, then immediately seal it with a light coat of oil, wax, or a proper protective product so air and water can never touch that virgin surface. Clean it, dry it, seal it, all in one session. No walking away to grab lunch and leaving it exposed. Bare metal does not wait for you. Protect it immediately or you undo everything. So let's put the two paths side by side. Path 1. You believe the fear, you hand over $800 for a new part, or you waste $25 hiding the problem under a black coating that rots in secret. Path 2. You grab a $1 box of baking soda, a ball of foil you already own, and 10 minutes of your time, and you bring your bumper, your hitch, or your trim back from the dead with your own two hands, then seal it so it stays that way. $1 against $800. Kitchen powder against a shop, quote. That's the choice they never wanted you to know you had. If this saved you from a panic repair bill, do me one favor. Send this video to that one friend with the rusty, trusty truck that's been crying orange tears in the driveway, because that person needs to see this before they hand a shop their hard-earned money for a 5-minute fix they could do themselves. Hit subscribe, stay in the rust resistance, and I'll see you in the next